There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up? Are you ready to make more money in 1 year than your father made in his whole life? Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
I mean, hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? I mean, come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing is important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Fine. Then let's race.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve, you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna, you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
You're listening to Race Day Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Motorsport Days Live, Stopwatch Hospitality and Trade Price Cars.
Welcome back to the action here at Whilton Mill, the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships, final round of the season in the IAME classes as we get ourselves ready for battle around this very wet, very windy, very treacherous and technical circuit with damp patches around the entirety of the racetrack, particularly into Crook and Oblivion and up towards Ashby. There are some very tricky parts of the course. The boot as well are going to be very, very tight in terms of the battle with water logging the circuit, and it's been raining on and off pretty much non-stop since 8:30 p.m. last night with some heavy rain showers over the course of the day, particularly in the lunch break earlier on, the heaviest of the showers. So we've had lots of standing water around the circuit, and it's going to be a bit of a knife edge for this last race of the season in each of our four categories for Mini X30, IAME Cadet and Junior and Senior X30 with 4 titles to be decided. Jake Sanson here, broadcasting to you from the Whilton Mill Bistro Bar. What a lovely setting it is here to go racing for the last time, and we are just over a minute away from the last Mini X30 race of the season, and what a season it has been. Some amazing battles from our youngsters who have put in an absolutely stellar performance over the course of the season. Lots of great action and no holds barred activity. One thing we can tell you coming into this one is that Oliver Greenall, after his victory in yesterday's final, has elected for this last race of the season to sit out, and that is, from his point of view, the moment that clinches him the British Mini X30 title, and that's a great result for Oliver Greenall. However, there are still other places in the championship to be decided by the likes of his rivals, Jessica Edgar, Bart Harrison, Theo Makuris, Aidan Line, and of course Edward Pearson. Lots of drivers in the mix, including Olivier Algieri and Gabriel Stilt, the 2 drivers in the mix for the Crop Promotion squad. So there are lots of battles to be won over the course of this race, and the drivers are about to head out onto the circuit for the last time. We've had to take shelter in the bar because of how unpredictable the weather is due to be. So it's going to be a very tough race. Everyone knows just how ruthless it can be at this level. So everyone is coming into this with eyes on stalks and their ears to the grindstone. It's going to be a very tough battle in this last race of the season. For Theo Makuris, it's an opportunity to get some bragging rights at the end of a tough season, and he will want to do so in fine style. From pole position, he has the best possible opportunity to do so as he gets himself around this course. So the competitors are now lined up in position. They will head out onto the circuit. They get the call. Green flag flies, and the drivers are heading out on circuit. For the last time in 2019, it is Mini X30 in the British Kart Championships. Theo Makuris from pole position. Luke Watts alongside him in second place. Edward Pearson and Aidan Line on the second row of the grid from Gabriel Stilp and Alfie Baxter Davies. Then it is Olivier Algieri from Bart Harrison, Jessica Edgar, Ian Aguilera, Evan Brown and Ashton Parsons. And that completes the grid with Oliver Greenall, a spectator on the sidelines, watching his teammates and rivals in the last race of the season. So it's going to be a very tough battle out there. We know that for sure. It's wet tyres all the way for this race. There's not enough of a dry line that has been formed over the course of the circuit, particularly into Crook and Oblivion. It is very tricky and very wet over that part of the course. So drivers are still having to keep their wits about them in the early phase of proceedings. It's all smiles at Team Greenall, but for everybody else, it's time for business as usual. One more time around this Whilton Mill circuit. Mercouris and Watts at the front end of the field from Pearson and Line. Stilp and Baxter Davies in the top 6. It's going to be a tough one for these guys as they finish the season on a high. Algieri, Harrison, Edgar, Aguilera, Brown and Parsons in the mix together as they come out of the final turn. Are we going to get a clean start? No, we don't. It's a false starter straight away. So a false start to get us underway, and that means that we'll have to go around one more time for good grace and good feeling. The sun comes out at exactly the right moment, so we could get some drying lines appearing over the course of the next half an hour. Of course, there's only 15 minutes of this particular final, so the drivers have got to make sure they are ready for anything in this heat. There's going to be a lot of dry lines developing at various patches of the course, but it's not quite clear who's going to get the upper hand. So far today, Theo Mercouris has been the man on form, though. Pole position in time qualifying this morning and very consistent over the course of the day. Luke Watts has been strong, though. He took a win earlier on this morning. They were matched in terms of their results, a win and a second apiece, but it's Mercouris' run in qualifying that gets him pole position for this final. And then, of course, Ed Pearson and Aidan Line, who have been very solid over the course of the heats. They are going to be very strong and very ultra competitive coming into this final race of the season. Theo Mercouris and Luke Watts line up on the front row of the starting grid with Edward Pearson and Aidan Line on the second row. Then it's Gabriel Stilp and Alfie Baxter Davies from Olivier Algieri and Bart Harrison, Jessica Edgar, Ian Aguilera, Evan Brown and Ashton Parsons. They come out of the heel of the boot, and this is the last race of the season for Mini X30. The lights are going to go out this time, surely. Yes, indeed they do. And away we go to the first corner. No problem at all from the start from Theo Mercouris, and Ed Pearson breaks into second place as they go through Crook and Oblivion for the first time. Gabriel Stilp runs out a little bit wide, but as they make the climb up towards Christmas, it's going to be a really exciting run from here. Up into the braking zone, and round the outside comes Luke Watts. He chops across on the inside of Edward Pearson and gets through in a second place. Lovely bit of racecraft there from Watts, and now tucks in behind Theo Mercouris as they head down to Ashby for the first time. No major disasters from the field so far. So it's Mercouris. Then in second place, that is Watts. Third place, it is Pearson. Fourth place is Gabriel Stilp after a fantastic start. Looks like the two Fusions are battling side by side. That is Harrison and Edgar, and Ian Aguilera is trying to get in there as well as they head out of the two right apexes, into two left apexes even, down the back straight and up towards the ankle of the boot. It is Mercouris leading the way. Then it is Watts, Pearson, fourth position. It is still a close battle, but that looks like Aidan Line has now got through past Gabriel Stilp, and Olivier Algieri is there in sixth position for good measure, with Alfie Baxter Davies having an amazing weekend here at a circuit he's made his own over the months. A brilliant performance from him as he runs in seventh place at the moment. Being caught at the moment rapidly, though, as he runs wide through Crook, and he might lose out here to Ian Aguilera with Harrison and Edgar waiting in the wings. Brown and Parsons are still in the mix there as well, and it's going to be three wide into Christmas for these three drivers as Alfie Baxter Davies tries desperately to hang on, but is not quite able to, and Aguilera and Edgar are squabbling away there. Sorry, that's Aguilera and Harrison. Edgar is now closing down on Alfie Baxter Davies, who goes right round the outside to Ashby. Gets a good run off the turn, but Jessica Edgar does get through, so it's going to be a really interesting run as they continue their charge forward. So for Mercouris, Watts, Pearson, Aidan Line, and then the two crop promotions of Stilp and Algieri. And then we've got Aguilera in front of Harrison, Edgar in front of Baxter Davies, and then it is Evan Brown in front of Ashton Parsons. So they come off the final turn, and Theo Mercouris is just keeping on going on the way he has gone all weekend long. And if it stays like this, then Theo Mercouris is going to overtake Luke Watts in the driver's standings and will finish the year in P2. Greenall has already got the title. That's sewn up, subject to official confirmation, of course. But Theo Mercouris, if he beats Watts in this race, is going to claim the runner-up spot and the vice championship in 2019 in Mini X30. So there's a lot at stake here. Unfortunately, Jessica Edgar had a brilliant run yesterday until the final one when she had a retirement, and that cost her most of her opportunities to get into second position as Harrison gets up the inside of teammate Aguilera in Ashby. And that's a lovely bit of racecraft between the Fusions, but they really need to stop racing each other. Oh, and Stilp has had a spin, and Algieri goes into the side of him. And unfortunately, the two crop promotion drivers have now fallen into the clutches of the Fusion Motorsport trio. So that's going to be a tough one for them both to hang on to. I think Stilp was trying to have a go at Aidan Line and just lost his braking zone. And now up the inside, that is Jess Edgar getting the run on teammate Ian Aguilera. So Aguilera now falls to the back of the queue. Out in front, it is still McCurris from Watts, Pearson and Aidan Line. So the top 4 remains at that. Very tricky to hold the kart around the circuit in these greasy conditions, but the drivers are doing a fair job of it. It is not easy. We're still in that little flirtation line between wet and dry, as there are parts of the course that are fairly dry, other parts of the course that are incredibly damp, so they've got to be so careful. And Watts is doing the homework here. He is charging after Theo McCurris and trying to get that gap down. Whoever beats the other of these two, McCurris and Watts, is going to finish the season second in the point standings in front of Jessica Edgar and Edward Pearson. So Edgar and Pearson definitely need a bit of a break here to move their way further forward. Pearson could do with the 2 up front having a little bit of a misdemeanor. But so far so good, as Watts is all over the back of Theo McCurris now as they come up the toe of the boot and down the drop into the heel. They will come down the main straight once again, and this is going to be a very tight fight moving forward. So let's see what happens as they cross the line one more time with feeling. Down the straight again and into the hairpin. A bit of a run wide there from Theo McCurris, and Watts is going to get alongside. And they're going to go side by side on the run to Christmas. And Watts is there. He takes the lead into Christmas hairpin. Lovely bit of driving and negotiating there from Watts as he gets the job done on Theo McCurris. Now he's got to hold it through Inkermans and up towards Ashby. Into the braking zone. Theo McCurris is still giving him plenty of pressure. Now if it finishes like this, then the roles will be reversed and Watts will finish ahead of McCurris in the standings. So it's very tight at the end of the season. McCurris having another look at Watts. Watts goes wide. McCurris tucks back for the inside, but the wide line in the wet is not a bad idea. He's able to pick up moisture on the tyres and keep things flowing quite nicely. Up into the ankle of the boot, and McCurris is still holding very hard station there in behind. Through the double apex right of the toe and then into the heel as they go over the main straight once again with 10 minutes on the clock. 5 minutes completed. This is going to be a sensational battle for the victory between Watts and McCurris, and as they come across the line, Watts is now going to finish 4 points ahead of Theo McCurris in the title fight unless McCurris can get up the inside of Watts, and this is the battle for the title now for the Vice Championship. Greenall has got the job done, as we know. But the Vice Championship is up for grabs, and Watts and McCurris are now in a straight fight. Whoever beats the other is going to get the job done. The Vice Championship is up for grabs. Here comes McCurris up on the inside. No chance onto the inside of the left-hander. Watts shuts him down. Nicely held there. And now Watts is going to drift out wide. McCurris will get the inside line and gets the lead. Lovely bit of racecraft from Theo McCurris. So he's back into the lead as they come onto the back straight now. In through the left-hander. At the ankle of the boot. Into the toe. Great bit of racecraft now from these two. Second in the championship standings is Watts up for grabs. They come into the heel and onto the main straight once again. 9 minutes and 9 on the clock as McCurris crosses the line and retakes second in the point standings by just 2 points to Luke Watts. Watts has got to hold station. He's got to be careful. Pearson is still third. Meanwhile, Olivier Algieri has worked hard to get past first his teammate, who has now slipped behind all 3 of the fusions, and now he's working on the back of Aidan Line. So Olivier Algieri is in 5th position, trying to close up on Aidan Line in the Kato Motorsport machine. So the 3 leaders have come through, no problem at all. Is this going to be the move up the inside from Algieri? He has a go on the inside of Aidan Line, and he's there, up into P4. Lovely job there from Olivier Algieri. A good recovery drive over the course of the weekend as well. Now, which of the fusions is that in P6? I think that is going to be Bart Harrison. It is indeed. And then Jessica Edgar. They run very wide through the second left-hander in the second sector. And as they come onto the back straight once again, up to the heel of the boot, they're going to have a really exciting battle, these 3, as now Bart Harrison has caught up to the back of Algieri and Line, and Jessica Edgar is not a million miles away in 7th place either. Up front, Theo McCurris has grabbed the lead from Watts and is starting to check out, but he can't afford to push too hard too soon, especially if those wets are going to last the full distance of a race, because he's got to be careful how hard he pushes the tyres. It's going to be a slower race than we've seen from the earlier final yesterday. So it will be a very tough fight. And we know, obviously, how tricky it's going to be as the weekend progresses. But there's going to be a really exciting run all the way through this race. We know how tough it is. Absolutely sensational run all the way through this field. But so far, so good for Theo McCurris, who's checking out a little way in front of Luke Watts. Meanwhile, Bart Harrison has made the bid to get past Aidan Line and got through. Now he drifts out wide and Line gets back through on the inside line. Bart Harrison has another crack now at Aidan Line as they come up to the boot. Aidan Line sends him to the right-hand side for the left-hander. He can't find a way through. Can he get him on the switchback? He's trying to get the undercut. And on the inside of Aidan Line, and Bart Harrison is going to make the move in the final turn, and I think he's made the move stick there. So Bart Harrison is back into position as he gets past Aidan Line. and that's for P5. Now Jessica Edgar's going to line up a move of her own as she tries to get the move done on Aiden Line. They come out of Oblivion and up the bank once again. And in they come to Christmas, and Jessica Edgar is up the inside, and she does get 6th position there in front of Aiden Line. A great drive from Jessica Edgar. So it's Makuris in front of Luke Watts. 3rd position is Pearson. 4th is Algieri. And then it's Harrison and Edgar in front of Aiden Line, Gabriel Stilp, Ian Aguilera. And then in 10th place, that is Evan Brown in front of Alfie Baxter Davies, with Ashton Parsons continuing to make progress there in 12th. So Theo Makuris is just chipping away at this advantage, extending the gap. Lap after lap after lap. He's so strong in that 2nd sector. That's where he's able to gain the time. And in the 3rd sector too. Luke Watts gets a personal best in that 3rd sector, but all it takes is a little kick of the curb, and there's a big gap between them. 1.7 seconds is the gap in the wet conditions. Pearson is about 6 seconds back from Luke Watts in 3rd position. And then it is Algieri from Harrison, Edgar, Line, Stilp, Aguilera, Brown, Baxter Davies and Parsons. So it looks as though it's pretty much settling itself out, other than the fight for 5th position, because Harrison is being caught by Jessica Edgar, and Edgar has a chance to get this one sorted at the end of the season to steal some personal pride and win the Fusion Motorsport battle for the season. She is going to be the leading Fusion driver other than Oliver Greenall, and she would love to pick up a few more points. She's got 6.18 as things currently stand. Harrison drifts wide. And is that enough for Edgar? Not quite able to get on the inside there this time to move into 5th position. And of course, there is still an incredibly high chance that the rain is going to come back over the circuit here at Whilton Mill. It's likely to be a wet day for pretty much the entirety and majority of. So the drivers will have to fight very hard in the closing stages. 5 minutes to go. And the drivers continue to duel and tussle away. Jess Edgar swarming around behind Bart Harrison, her teammate, as they duel for 5th position. Theo Makuris is being caught now by Watts. The gap is about 1.8, but Watts is faster than Makuris in the 1st sector, and looks like he's going to be faster than Makuris in the 2nd sector. It looks as though he's looked after the tyres to the correct degree, and now he's got a chance to wind him back in. So Luke Watts running a great race here in 2nd place. He's not let the fact that Theo Makuris has taken an early bath out in front get to him. He is still pushing. He is still getting those tyres worked very nicely indeed around the circuit, and he is using every apex to his advantage. He's learning how the circuit is evolving, and he's not done yet at all. So Makuris comes through, 2nd place. Watts is there in behind him. So Makuris is looking at 2nd in the Drivers' Championship with this performance. 1.73. So Watts gained a little bit on that lap, but not really enough to have a proper serious crack at going for it. There's battles in the field. 7th position, we've got Gabriel Stilp swarming around all over the back of Aiden Line as they duel over 7th position, and Gabriel Stilp is trying to make a go of it up on the inside line. Can he make the move stick? No, he's not quite able to get through there on the inside of Christmas. So some good duels through the field, but Gabriel Stilp is not quite able to make the move. Aiden Line is just keeping that cart wide enough as they go through Ashby. Stilp is now trying to edge away a little bit from Ian Aguilera, and now he's going to make a late lunge up the inside. Gabriel Stilp gets on the curbs. Line drives around the outside, and Stilp is not quite able to get the move done. Now he drifts out wide. Aguilera nearly catches him out, but a good bit of defensive driving there from Gabriel Stilp keeps him in command. 3 minutes and 25 on the clock as Theo Makuris goes through, and now he's really extending the gap. 3.3. Watts has got a problem of some kind. Either that or he's made a massive mistake on that lap. He seems to have made a terrible move in the first sector. He lost a good second to Theo Makuris just in one sector. So he's really struggling now to hold on from Theo Makuris. Edward Pearson is being caught a little bit by Olivia Algieri now, so 3rd position could still change before the end of this race, and that battle for 7th is absolutely nail-biting at the moment because we've got Aiden Line, Gabriel Stilp, and now Ian Aguilera joining the party down into the braking zone for Ashby, and Stilp is going to try and get the switch back on Aiden Line, and he needs to because Ian Aguilera is coming for a move as well. And Aguilera is going to pounce on Stilp. Stilp tries to hold it round the outside. The back end steps out and he hangs onto it, but he drifts wide in the next apex and gets through Ian Aguilera. But Stilp is trying to come back at him. Aguilera's got the move. Really good racecraft in the middle of the field here. As out in front, Theo Makuris now charges to a 4-second lead. He is nearly he's over 7/10 of a second quicker per lap than Luke Watts. And it looks as though the job is done. So Theo Makuris just needs to keep on pounding around the circuit for the last 2 minutes and the additional lap that comes with it. and he is the vice champion of 2019 behind Oliver Greenall. But third place is still a contest at the moment because Edward Pearson is being challenged by Olivier Algieri, who is trying to gain some ground. And as a response to that, Edward Pearson has set the fastest first sector of anybody. He's just gone very quick indeed to try and shake off the attentions of Olivier Algieri. If he can keep that sort of pace up, Edward Pearson, then third position will be his, and that will secure for him fifth place in the driver's standings. So they come off the final turn. Theo Mercouris has a minute and a half to go. So by our current rate of knots, that is 3 laps, including this one. Watts is there in second place still. Pearson third. Fourth is Algieri. Still throwing everything at him as the final sector is the fastest of all for Olivier Algieri. He is really trying to get the gap down, and it started raining again. So the rain has come back. This is what we were fearing might happen during the race. So now, those drivers who've been struggling for grip are now going to have a little bit more at their disposal. Could this change things in the last couple of minutes of this race? Because the rain has definitely come back, and it's getting heavier by the moment. So Theo Mercouris out in front, doing a grand job, leading the way from Luke Watts. Edward Pearson running well in third place, but Algieri is not far away. Then it is Harrison in front of Edgar, and it looks like a bit of a stalemate between those two. So we could get a very interesting end to the season for certain, but it looks to me as though Oliver Greenall is going to get the job done. He's stood here on the sidelines watching his colleagues battle away out on circuit as Theo Mercouris is set to clinch second in the driver's standings in front of Luke Watts. Pearson still being hustled a little by Algieri. And then the two fusions of Bart Harrison in fifth and Jessica Edgar in sixth position. Seventh place is going to be a bit of a toss-up at the moment between Ian Aguilera. Well, Aguilera's got past them both, in fact, and has started to check out. But Gabriel Stilp is throwing everything bar the kitchen sink at Aidan Line in their battle over 8th place. Up to Christmas turn once again. Can Stilp get up the inside? Trying his best, but there's no way through. Aidan Line is not making this easy for Gabriel Stilp at all. And the time has run down to 0. So Theo Mercouris is about to start the last lap of the season. And this is going to be a very tough battle for 8th position between Stilp and Line. Stilp has finally got through, but Line is still throwing everything at him. He's not going to shake him off easily. And these two are likely to keep this duel going right the way to the checkered flag. Last lap for Theo Mercouris. He's out in front, having totally commanded the second half of this race. Once he got into a decent position, he allowed himself to stretch out the advantage little by little. And Luke Watts has succumbed to the pressure just a little and has lost out now to 3.6 seconds. The gap has increased. So Theo Mercouris is going to get the job done here in fine style in the race and in the vice championship status of the title fight. Oliver Greenall is a worthy champion on the sidelines, but Theo Mercouris has fought through thick and thin, and the crop promotion driver is going to come through to become the vice champion of 2019 after a solid run here this weekend at Whilton Mill. He's done the homework, he's got the job done as hard as he possibly can, and up through the final turns of the season, never mind the circuit, Theo Mercouris comes out of the final corner, takes the checkered flag, and he is the winner of a fantastic race here. Absolutely sensational job. Theo Mercouris then takes the title. A brilliant, brilliant display. Vice champion is Theo Mercouris. He wins the final race of the season. Luke Watts is there in second and Edward Pearson in third. They finish the season in the top 5 of the standings, those three. Theo Mercouris is the vice champion. Luke Watts is the second runner-up. Third in the standings, but Oliver Greenall, who sat on the sidelines watching it all unfold, is the British Mini X30 champion of 2019. Mercouris wins from Watts and Pearson, Algieri, Bart Harrison and Jessica Edgar, from Ian Aguilera, Gabriel Stilp, Aidan Line and Evan Brown, then Alfie Baxter Davies and Ashton Parsons. But Oliver Greenall is the British Mini X30 champion. What a fantastic way to end the season for Theo Mercouris. A great win to round out his 2019 campaign and a bold performance over the course of the season. So we're going to have a really exciting run that ends our season here at Whilton Mill for Mini X30. But there's plenty more racing still on the way. The next race is the Senior X30 final, and that one really is a true showdown for the end of the season.
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up? Are you ready to make more money in 1 year than your father made in his whole life? Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
I mean, hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Fine. Then let's race.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
So we're going to go back into the action straight away here as we have the Senior X30 final, the last race of the 2019 British Kart Championships for Senior X30. Heading out on circuit now with the wind picking up and the rain still in the air. And this is the title fight down to the wire. 3 men could become champion here in this race. It could be Clayton Ravenscroft, it could be Thomas Turner, or it could be Danny Curl. all comes down to dropped scores, and it's going to be a very interesting end to the season. Thomas Turner and Danny Curl are on the front row of the grid. The two title protagonists who are here. Ravenscroft sadly is not, and he is the least likely to take the title, but there is a great fight right the way down to the end of the season. It looks like it's going to be a straight fight between Turner and Curl, but it will all come down to dropped scores. So Turner has got to beat Curl on the road to make it happen. And the same goes for Danny Curl. He's got to beat Thomas Turner. With Oliver Hodgson, Morgan Porter, Gus Lawrence and Matt Armstrong all in the mix as well. There are plenty of scenarios that could play out here. And we're going to see a very interesting final race of the season play out, as the competitors are hoping to have a really strong race from the front end of the field. Thomas Turner and Danny Curl in a straight fight for the driver's title. Morgan Porter and Oliver Hodgson on the second row from Gus Lawrence and Matt Armstrong. Cole Kellner and Derek Morgan from Alex Pendlebury, Rory Hudson and the very talented Singaporean Alexander Wang, who's having an amazing weekend so far. Can he keep it going into the final? The drivers come out of the final turn, and let's see if we get lights out here at Whilton Mill. Will we get a clean start straight away? Looks good to me, and we're racing. Absolutely fantastic start at the front end of the field from Thomas Turner. Morgan Porter slots through in a second place, so Danny Curl is going to have to fight for this one as they go through the first corners at Crooked Oblivion, up Manuel's Bank and up towards Christmas for the first time. Danny Curl trying to hold the inside line to stop Oliver Hodgson coming through, and the battle is joined. Thomas Turner leads from Morgan Porter and Danny Curl. Then it is Oliver Hodgson, 5th position, swarming around there in the Tony Kart chassis. That is Matt Armstrong, so a great start from him as the battle continues on its way. No, my apologies, that is not Armstrong. He's not had a great start. That looks to me like Gus Lawrence as Hodgson makes the move on Danny Curl. This is going terribly wrong for the Jade Racing driver and the 2017 world champion. He is now struggling to maintain position here as they go down the back straight. Thomas Turner is now within about 14 minutes or so from becoming British champion. And he's got a massive lead as Hodgson and Porter go side by side as they battle into the final turn for second position. Can Porter hold off Hodgson? No, he cannot. As Hodgson goes through, Porter trying to hold it sideways, and they nudge each other into the first corner. Somehow they get away with it, and Danny Curl has slipped to 5th behind Gus Lawrence. So Danny Curl, despite all of that, on dropped scores, is looking likely to be the champion on 6:49. With Thomas Turner out in front, it looks like it's pretty much game over as the title fight continues here, but Danny Curl is slipping down the order as another place is lost here. This time it's to the Mick Barrett Racing driver. That is Cole Kellner trying to make his way up the order, and he's up into 5th position past Danny Curl. And there's a side-by-side squabble going on for 7th. Now that is between Alex Pendlebury, I believe, and Thomas Fleming. They are having an almighty tussle. Meanwhile, Thomas Turner is just checking out Charlie out in the front of the field. He's got an amazing lead here from Oliver Hodgson, and in 3rd position, Gus Lawrence doing a mighty job of trying to hold station in behind. They come through, and it's the O-plate Thomas Turner. The rain has come back, and it's heavier than it's ever been before in a final this weekend. So this is going to be a very tough battle for the drivers as they come through the first couple of corners. The rain is intensifying, and this 15-minute race has suddenly got a lot longer for the drivers now that the rain has come back out there. Thomas Turner dealing with the conditions first, so he's going to have the toughest job to manage it. Hodgson in 2nd, 3rd is Lawrence, 4th is Porter, 5th is Kellner trying to fight a way through, and Danny Curl is down in 6th. Now, that will cost him a point or two. He's looking at 6:48, with Thomas Turner looking likely to be on 6:23. Hodgson is going to be on 6:02 if he finishes where he is, but he doesn't want to finish where he is. He wants to go further up and catch up to Thomas Turner and bag a victory, especially when his team boss Paul Fletcher is here watching in person, trying to hope that he can come through and grab the position. Now Cole Kellner's going to go side by side with Porter on the exit of the toe, and he gets through. Lovely move there from Cole Kellner. So that puts him up past Morgan Porter in their duel for position, and that's given Kellner 4th place in front of Morgan Porter. Danny Curl has slipped back down now to 7th place behind Thomas Fleming. So he is hemorrhaging positions. And the rain is really starting to come down now. It's a proper deluge around the circuit here at Whilton Mill. So now it's going to be about who's got the patience, who's got the piece of character and the strength of mind to hold on to this. Gus Lawrence going very deep into Ashby, but holds on to 3rd position. Make up your own racing line. Drivers are going to be sliding around all over the shop in their bid to make up positions and to maintain their momentum. But out in front it is Thomas Turner, the O-Plate, doing everything he can. He's just got to win this race and hope that the cards fall in his favour. But according to the Virtual Championship points, it looks like Danny Curl's going to hold it by 24 points to Thomas Turner, the way things currently stand. However, if Danny Curl keeps losing places, that could change, and it's certainly going to be a tough one. So Thomas Turner just needs to keep doing the job he's doing and lead the race by example and get out in front. So just as the circuit was starting to dry out, it's now going to get greasier and greasier as water mixes with the rubber on the top surface. Oh, and off the circuit in the first corner. That is Matthew Hudson, I think, going off there. So Matthew Hudson has overshot there into Crook and manages to recover partway through the apex at Oblivion. So proof of the fact that the circuit is incredibly tricky in the conditions now. The rain having come back at the wrong moment for the Senior X30 drivers. Warning flag goes out, by the way, to the 13, first of all. That's Alexander Patterson, and also the 61 of Tom Nippers. So both of those drivers getting in the war zones early on in this race. But so far, so good for our race leader, Thomas Turner. However, Oliver Hodgson has not given up on the fight for the victory. He's gaining ground, certainly in the second sector. He's made up a big chunk of time on Thomas Turner. They're kind of even Stevens at the moment, but Danny Curl is likely to snatch the jaws of victory away from defeat here. Gus Lawrence in third. Fourth is now Kilner in front of Thomas Fleming. Danny Curl has got himself back into sixth position past Morgan Porter. That's bought him another point. 6:48 is where he's likely to be, and that should see him 25 points clear of Thomas Turner in the points rankings. So with Oliver Hodgson still trying to bear down on Thomas Turner, that could help him out big style as the drivers come down into Ashby. That's Fleming on the inside. Oh, nearly coming into contact there with Cole Kilner as they come through on the inside of Ashby. And Cole Kilner has to concede to Thomas Fleming for the time being. But the battle is really tense between those two for fourth position. If they're not careful, they're going to let Danny Curl get by anyway. Seventh is Porter, eighth is Tillett, then it's Morgan, Rory Hudson, Ushijima, Wang, Pendlebury, Brown, Matthew Hudson, then Armstrong, Marshall, Cosseteng and Patterson in front of Ayers and Ross. So over the line once again comes our race leader, Thomas Turner, still holding on to the advantage. The 12 is given a warning flag this time. That is the Filipino star, Eduardo Cosseteng. Now, Thomas Fleming, having got past Cole Kilner into fourth position, is starting to stretch out an advantage. Danny Curl is running well in sixth position, and he's trying to gain ground on them. And as they come up through to Christmas, it is going to be a very tall order. Thomas Turner still chipping away at this race lead. Oliver Hodgson edging further and further towards him. Gus Lawrence holding third, taking a much wider line than Thomas Fleming, and that's actually working on the exit. Fleming going the more conventional route, and that actually holds him up on acceleration out of the apex. So it's a bit of a stalemate between those two at the moment. So Fleming tries again to get up the inside of Gus Lawrence. Is not quite able to in pure momentum. So Turner and Hodgson still trading sector times at the moment, as Turner is faster in none of the sectors on this particular lap. Oh, sorry, he's in the second sector. He is faster. My apologies. So Hodgson is still going well to try and catch him, but Turner holds all the deck of cards in his hand at the moment. So Hodgson is still pushing, charging out, using the curb, kicking the back end of the kart out, and that helps you drag through the corner. Fleming is now right underneath Gus Lawrence. He's gained 10 places from the start, originally in 14th on the grid, Thomas Fleming, and he is using his frustrations over the weekend to good effect. He's knuckling down and going for it in fourth position. He is charging his way back, and in third position, it would be a great end to his season. He goes up the inside into Ashby, and he's got third place, but Lawrence gets him back on the exit. A very tough fight between these two. They're going to be swapping third position for the next couple of corners, no doubt, as they have very different attitudes to where the line is. Fleming gets back on the inside of Lawrence. Lawrence is going to need to get the switch back around the outside of him, and he does so. So again, they swap positions. Lawrence and Fleming absolutely going toe-to-toe here around the course. Fleming getting high up on the curbs, through the toe of the boot, and then down the incline up towards the heel. So Fleming swarming around behind the Tony Kart chassis, pushing very hard there, Gus Lawrence in the V Motorsport team. They have very different interpretations of the racing line here, and as a result, they are swapping positions like there's no tomorrow. Thomas Turner leads, Hodgson second. The rain's still pelting down here at Whilton Mill. It's not a torrential monsoon like we had in the lunch break, but it's definitely going to be enough to shake up the track conditions lap by lap. So again, here comes Fleming, having a look on the inside of Lawrence. Lawrence is trying to use a more defensive line, and this time surely Fleming's going to cut through. He does, into third position. Nice overtake from Thomas Fleming, and that puts him through into P3. Lawrence is down to fourth. Then it is Kilner, Curl, Porter under massive pressure now from Archie Tillett, And Tillett's going to get up the inside of Porter. He does so through the left-hander, and he is there. So a lovely overtake from Archie Tillett. He gets through into 7th position now, past Morgan Porter. Porter slices up the inside in the boot and gets it back into position in the left-hander. Lovely bit of racing from both drivers, giving each other fair room, but racing each other hard and firm. So Fleming in front of Lawrence as they battle over 3rd position. 5th is Kilner and 6th is Danny Curl. And Curl is now starting to gain ground again on Kilner. Some great racing in the midfield. Despite all of this drama, the only non-finisher is going to be Lewis Gilbert, who for some reason has not been able to start the final. Hopefully we'll see a stronger campaign from him in 2020. Compromised at the start of the season, of course, by his incident at PF International. Hopefully he'll be back to his best in 2020. So Thomas Turner and Oliver Hodgson running well. 3rd position for Fleming. Then it's Lawrence, Kilner and Danny Curl. Danny Curl is going to try and get his move up the inside of Kilner. Oh, goodness me, they run nose to tail and they nearly nerf each other off the road there. Kilner is able to get away with 5th position there. Danny Curl doing the right thing, rolling back off the power and allowing Kilner to get back into position. That didn't quite work out for him. Now he's going to make the move up the inside. This time he's going to get him into the heel of the boot. And that's a lovely dictatorial manoeuvre from Danny Curl into 5th position. Lovely bit of driving there from the 2017 FIA OK World Champion. So up they come again. And it is still Thomas Turner from Oliver Hodgson. It's stalemate between those two with 5 minutes to go. And the rain's still coming down. It looks to me as though Thomas Turner is going to have enough legs on Oliver Hodgson here to win the final race of the season. 3rd place is going to be Thomas Fleming if he can hold off this sort of pace. But with Danny Curl into 5th place, he's going to be charging after Gus Lawrence. But I think that's the only person he's got time to close up and pass, because it's going to be very tight after that. 4.5 minutes on the clock plus the additional bonus lap. It will be a very tough run from there on in. Into the boot. Thomas Turner still holds the line. Hodgson going well. Fleming runs very deep in position. And then in 4th place, Gus Lawrence still works well in front of Danny Curl. And then in behind Curl, we have got Cole Kilner still putting a very solid effort in. So no major changes of the front end, although Thomas Fleming has now dropped Gus Lawrence and is actually making a bid to close up on Oliver Hodgson. So Oliver Hodgson is not safe yet in 2nd place, because Thomas Fleming is gaining ground lap by lap. In the last lap, he was fractionally quicker. So Thomas Fleming is still trying to make the gains. In the last lap, he was in the, well, they're all in the 59s at the moment. Fastest lap of the entire race, of course, is Thomas Turner. He got a 53.7 right at the start of the race. Nobody else has got close to that in terms of pace. Everyone else is in the 55s and 56s for the best laps. So that just shows you how strong Thomas Turner has been in the early stages of this race. And there's a good battle going on in the midfield. Now, who is that struggling? As Morgan Porter tries to come alongside. I think that's to lap Mario Zaletti, or certainly somebody in trouble there. So I'm not sure what the situation is, but Turner is in front of Hodgson now, then Fleming, then it is Lawrence still in front of Danny Curl, who is closing in on him big style. Then it is going to be Cole Kilner and Archie Tillett. And then we have Rory Hudson having made the move on Morgan Porter. So it's Hudson making his way through the field. And Porter's struggling. Here comes Risa Shijima. Risa Shijima is going to get through and up into position past Morgan Porter. Well, not if Morgan Porter's got anything to say about it. He holds the door firmly shut for the American-Japanese star. And Risa Shijima would love to finish his season in the top 10. Porter defending valiantly to make sure that doesn't happen. But he's going to drift wide at Ashby. But Ishijima's going to come back in front and cuts across. Lovely move from Ishijima. So the Piers Sexton Racing driver gets the place. And now Porter's in more trouble as up the inside comes Derek Morgan. Derek Morgan carrying a beautiful and very fitting tribute to his grandfather on the front fairing this weekend, running an all-black front fairing with a message to his dearly departed grandfather. A lovely tribute from Derek Morgan. And love to all the family. We wish you all the best heading into the winter season. But now the battle is for 4th place as Danny Curl's going to get a better run out of oblivion and go side by side with Gus Lawrence up to Christmas. And Danny Curl is through. The determination pays off as Danny Curl gets back into 4th position. So that's going to buy him another point. And that will put him on 650 for the season. Brilliant bit of driving from Danny Curl. That's why he's the world champion from 2017. That's why he is world class. So now the battle is going to be absolutely raging between our drivers. battling away as they continue. Oh, we've got a spin at the first corner. Somebody has spun there into the first corner. Now, who was that? I think that might have been Mario Zaletti spinning around. So Zaletti struggling there into turn 1. And with 1 minute and 20 on the clock, Thomas Turner. Turner's lost it! Turner in the lead has lost it! Thomas Turner spins in front of the leaders, and Hodgson and Fleming have got through! Thomas Turner throws away the lead of the race! Absolutely incredible! Thomas Turner has thrown the lead away! Hodgson has now got Thomas Fleming all over the back of him! The race transforms in the last 90 seconds, and Thomas Fleming is going for the lead on Oliver Hodgson! Hodgson leads, but Fleming's up the inside. Turner's dropped to third. And now it's side by side for the lead between Hodgson and Fleming. Fleming's trying to cut back through on the inside. And now Fleming goes for the lead. They bang wheels, and Fleming is through. Thomas Fleming takes the lead. Unbelievable how this race has suddenly turned on its head in the last 90 seconds. Turner is desperately trying to get back into position. He's fighting his way forward. Thomas Turner knew he had to win to stand any chance of beating Danny Curl, and he's made the biggest mistake of his season. He's dropped to third. They've got 2 laps to go, and Fleming has got Hodgson and Turner in his sights, and Danny Curl is waiting in the wings. What a dramatic turn of events as Thomas Turner, on his own with a decent lead, uses too much of the curb on the inside into oblivion and spins away the lead. He returns in third, still in front of Danny Curl by a long way, but you couldn't have asked for a more dramatic turn of events as Thomas Turner spins out of the lead of the race. He's going to be devastated with himself, but there's nothing he could do now except plod on for the last lap and a half. Thomas Fleming leads Oliver Hodgson and Thomas Turner in the closing stages of this race. And my goodness me, you couldn't have asked for it to be any more dramatic than this. You wouldn't have believed it if you tried to write it. But Thomas Fleming is going to come out of the final turn to start the last lap. And if this stays the way it is, he will pick up his first win of the 2019 British Kart Championship season in heroic fashion. But Thomas Turner's not done yet. He's still trying to close up on Oliver Hodgson. That has dramatically changed things in terms of the title fight. Thomas Turner's going to keep the position, but he hemorrhages points by dropping to third. He's still going to fight for Oliver Hodgson, though. Morgan Porter's been given a warning flag in the closing stages as he battles for position. But now Thomas Fleming is going to hang on in front of Oliver Hodgson and Thomas Turner, with Danny Curl running in 4th place. More retirements in the race, sadly, for Jack Gordon, for Harry Barlow, and for Alexander Patterson as well. But this is going to be the victory for Thomas Fleming as Thomas Turner goes all over the back of Oliver Hodgson in his bid to at least salvage second if he can't have the win. Down the back straight, Thomas Turner's going to be squeezed here by Hodgson. He goes deep round the outside, up to the toe of the boot. Hodgson uses plenty of curb, and Turner's going to get alongside him. They're going to race for the line, but out in front, Thomas Fleming is going to get a brilliant victory. What a run from Fleming, and second across the line, it is Hodgson who just hangs on in front of Thomas Turner. What a dramatic end to the Senior X30 season. And in 4th place, Danny Curl has done it, and he knows he's done it. He's become the 2019 British Senior X30 champion. What an amazing accolade to add to his World Championship from 2017. He now becomes Senior X30 British champion, and the Jade Racing team can start the celebrations in earnest. Gus Lawrence is 5th in front of Cole Kilner from Archie Tillett, Rory Hudson, Reese Ushijima and Derek Morgan, with Morgan Porter falling to 11th in the end. Matthew Hudson fights back to 12th in front of Matt Armstrong, Eduardo Cosatang, Alexander Wang, Jensen Brown, Alex Pendlebury, Ryan Green, Abigail Ross, Ben Hodge, Caleb Marshall and Josh Graham in front of Callum Driscoll, Tom Nippers, Rufus Hunt and Mario Zaletti. And then the retirements are Henry Ayres, Alex Patterson, Harry Barlow, Jack Gordon. The non-starter is Lewis Gilbert. Thomas Fleming wins a dramatic end to the season race, but the new British champion is Danny Curl in 4th. What a sensational end to the season in Senior X30. I've never known it be quite so dramatic in the closing stages of a season, but it is a victory, and a well-deserved one for Thomas Fleming, who bows out at the top. Thomas Turner is the vice-champion, but Danny Curl is the champion. If you want more action, stay right where you are, glued to your seats, because you're only going to need the edge of them when we get to the IAME Cadet Final.
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
Let me drive.
I will make a fool out of you. Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up? Are you ready to make more money in 1 year than your father made in his whole life? Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
But hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Fine. Then let's race.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingham and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
You're listening to Race Day Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Motorsport Days Live, Stopwatch Hospitality, and Trade Price Cars.
Drama aplenty here at Whilton Mill. It couldn't have been more exciting, the Senior X30 final. I'm Jake Sanson here from Whilton Mill during the final weekend of the season in the IAME classes of the British Kart Championships. Beside me is Guy Bachini now as we focus on the last race of the year in the IAME Cadet British Championship. And it's been a dramatic weekend anyway, Guy, but coming into this last race with the rain coming down, this is going to be about who's got will over skill.
Yeah, I think it will definitely come down to will over skill because you need to go for any move you can, try and make as many positions as possible. Final round, final race, you need to try and gain as many points as possible.
And this is going to be very tricky because we've got a lot of damp patches developing again around the circuit, but they're going to be changing race upon race. And these are light karts in the IAME Cadet. They don't put a lot of weight on the floor, so the drivers are going to be very much stretched to the limit of their own adhesion in order to get the most out of their equipment.
Yeah, people will be trying to get the most out of the karts, the most out of themselves, especially Keane Nakamura, Berta, Harry Burgoyne and Harley Keeble, the three contenders for the championship title. I think we will see those three with an absolutely outstanding battle on track, trying to get as many positions as possible, trying to be as high up in the field as possible.
So obviously we know coming into this that it's almost a guaranteed given thing in terms of official confirmation that we may well have seen the title clinched the way of Harley Keeble in the IAME Cadet, but there's still a race to play out. Everybody's still going to be competing in this last race of the season, so you can never say never. They've got to keep it nice and clean for the last race of the year. Keane Nakamura Berta, his mission is clear. He's just got to go out there and win the last race of the season to stand any chance of being handed the title at all.
Yeah, he just needs to finish in the highest possible position possible. He needs to try and outscore his opponents to get as many points as possible. Obviously, he had a really difficult race yesterday, so he needs to gain as many points back as possible.
So we're obviously going to have a very tight one, but the rain has intensified again in between races, so the wind actually coming through is going to be very, very tricky to see if they're going to actually gain positions in the early stage of the race. And the wet patches that you've got there through Crook and Oblivion, that's when races can really come to an end very early on. That policy of you can't win the race on the first lap, but you can definitely lose it, could become very prevalent as we get the race underway.
And it could also come under consideration that you can win the race on the first lap. Say everyone else makes a mistake and you get a good start, then that gap could definitely help you. Because in the wet, people are just going to make mistakes and you need to make as minimum as possible.
Now, you've driven this circuit before quite a few times, and certainly in the wet as well. This circuit really has the chance to bite. When the track is changing all the time, where are you trying to gain an advantage? Where are you able to make those gaps grow, and where are you able to close in on an opponent in these particular conditions?
I think the main thing you have to do if the conditions are changing is change your mindset, because obviously if you're racing in dry, 1 minute you'll be racing in the wet, then you need to go to the mindset of you need to go on a different line, different acceleration, different braking points, because it's a completely different surface out there.
And of course, the way that it changes lap upon lap, I'm guessing the crosswinds here, because we're obviously quite near to one of the main thoroughfares, one of the main motorways just over the way there, the M1. it's going to be very, very tricky. No, sorry, not the M1, the M42. My geography is terrible. That's why I keep getting lost. But the M42 just over the way, it's very, very tricky because you get massive crosswinds coming over the circuit. And when you've got changeable weather conditions anyway, that makes it very tough in itself.
Yeah, and it will be difficult if it is changeable conditions. Say the wind's blown from a different direction, 1 minute it will be blown from the other, blowing the rain over the track in different way. That can definitely change it up. Even if it's not much rain, even if it's blown from a different direction, it will change the style of driving that you have to take on.
So the drivers have gone out onto the circuit for their rolling lap, and it's going to be Sonny Smith lining up in pole position alongside Cahal Clark. That is an amazing achievement for Cahal. Great to see him there on the front row of the grid for the first time in a final. Then Harley Keeble, champion-elect, then Macaulay Bishop, the privateer, and then it's Harry Junior Burgoyne and Ella Stevens in the top 6, with Ethan Jeff Hall still fighting on in 7th ahead of Vinnie Phillips and Brandon Carr. Lewis Werrell, Alex O'Grady, Maximus Hall, Zach Knight, Kia Nakamura Berta, Archie Clark, then Ty Sofronea, Edgar Knight, Bird, Katsantonis, Moat, Antrobus, Parker, Brown, Anderson, Kamyab, Spanswick, Mins, Smith and Kian Geraghty. So it's going to be a really exciting battle as the drivers get their way around this circuit. It's raining hard here at Whilton Mill, and we've got a very exciting grid for the last IAME Cadet race of the season. Sonny Smith and Cahal Clark from Harley Keeble and Macaulay Bishop. Then Burgoyne, Stevens, Jeff Hall, Phillips, Carr and Lewis Werrell. It'll be a tight fight all the way through. Jake Sanson and Kai Bachini with you. The lights are on down the Whilton Mill straight. Are we going to go racing the first time? No, we're not. It is a false start straight away, and that only adds to the tension.
Yeah, it just makes you keep it back for another lap. All the drivers, it does help them get a little bit more heat into their tyres, but it also does add extra wear. Wouldn't make a massive difference in the wet because you won't get much wear anyways unless you slide through a corner. But it does just keep the nerves back for the drivers. Obviously you want to release those nerves as soon as possible, but they're just having to hold it back for another lap and try and compose themselves for another lap.
So the rain is coming down thick and hard now over the circuit. It's not the easiest position for the drivers to be in as they try and get heat into the tyres. The air temperature is about 18 degrees Celsius, so with the rain you're looking at about 23, 24 degrees road temperature, and that is not a lot when you consider that they've got to keep those waters flowing through. Looks to me as though Ben Smith has had a spin out there on the formation lap as well, so hopefully he can get himself back into position as the lines are now formed again on the back straight, and we go for a start. Sonny Smith and Cahal Clark on the front row of a grid in treacherous conditions here at Whilton Mill from Keeble and Bishop, Burgoyne and Stevens, Jeff Hall and Phillips, Carr and Werrell, with Alex O'Grady, Maximus Hall, Zach Knight and Kia Nakamura Berta in the mix from Archie Clark, Nathan Ty, Dan Sofronea and George Edgar. Jake Sanson and Kai Bachini with you on comms. They come down the main straight and we're racing straight away to the first corner. No problem at all as the drivers knit their way through. Sonny Smith has taken an early lead. There's a little bit of jostling in the middle of the pack. Can everybody get through cleanly? No, we've had 2 or 3 carts spin away there, and that looks to me like the 77 has gone around. That's Sebastian Mins, and also in the war zone there, I think that is going to be, well, we'll double check as they come through, but out in front it is still Sonny Smith battling away there. Cahal Clark has slipped down a couple of positions as we've got ORM trio up front. That is Keeble in second place, and in third, I'm fairly sure that is Burgoyne. I think the other spinner was Jack Moat, the privateer. But out in front, it is an ORM trio, and in fourth place, still fighting hard, is Ethan Jeff Hall, as in a second comes Burgoyne. Burgoyne makes the move then on Harley Keeble, and Ethan Jeff Hall has slotted in nicely into fourth place.
Yeah, and I think these 3 ORMs in the lead are just going to try and work together, push away from the rest of the pack, and I think that's the best that they're going to do. But the thing that they're going to try to do is Ethan Jeff Hall's going to try and hang on to the back of these 3, as we're just having a little look. Is everyone getting through?
Lewis Werrell's had a problem. So Lewis Werrell has spun down to the back of the field. He has continued going, but now Lewis Werrell is down at the tail end. Charlie, treacherous conditions here in IAME Cadet for the wet, and we're going to see how this plays out, but it's very difficult for the drivers out there. It's Smith, Burgoyne and Keeble from Jeff Hall, and Cahal Clark from Brandon Carr and Maximus Hall. Then Bishop, Phillips, Zach Knight, Stevens, Ty, O'Grady and Will Knight, with Kia Nakamura Berta slipping down to 15th. It's a tricky job for the man who wants to win the title, and it's looking less and less likely by the lap.
Yeah, Harley Keeble, he still does have that championship lead though. Remember, it's 65 points for a win, 60 points for third place. He would keep it at this rate. At least if he's within the 11 points that he already has the gap to Harry Junior Burgoyne, I think he will be comfortable with the position he has right now.
So Ethan Jeff Hall with this form, if he can keep it in the top 5, he's going to overtake Maximus Hall in the point standings at the end of the season. He's going to round up in 5th place in the driver's standings, which is very good news for him as he wants to end his season on a high. But he's trying to break up the trio up front So he's there in 4th position, all over the back of Sonny Smith, Harry Junior Burgoyne and Harley Keeble. Keeble just wants to finish with his teammates in a swan song, but he's pushing his way forward now as they come up towards that first right kink at Oblivion. They've gone through Crook, now into the right-hander at Oblivion, where we've seen so many of the cadets this morning in time qualifying go off the circuit. Now that it's a little bit wetter, they can really make those wet tyres bite, and the driving standards is so much stronger by comparison.
You can see everyone just using as much curb as possible, trying to use as much track as possible as well, without going over the limit. But it is interesting that even Jeff Hall set a purple sector 1. You can see that he is on form and he is setting fastest sectors, and he's just really posing a threat to the ORM boys right now.
Certainly is. Cahal Clark is there in 5th position at this precise moment in time and trying to rain down upon them in 5th place. 6th place, that is Maximus Hall, the Gladiator, still trying to make waves. Macaulay Bishop in 7th place, the Privateer. Then it is Brandon Carr in front of Vinnie Phillips and Nathan Tye, as they all want to bow out of this 2019 campaign on a high. And Ethan Jeff Hall moving up into 4th place in the driver's standings with this result. That's a great performance if he can now keep this going, because Brandon Carr has slipped down a couple of places, and if he keeps going backwards through the field, then Ethan Jeff Hall is going to end up the season in 4th.
Yeah, that would be a really good finish for Ethan Jeff Hall. The young man who's developed so much through the season in 4th position. I think he would be happy with that one. But let's have a look through the top 10 right now. We have Harry Junior Burgoyne, Sonny Smith from Harley Keeble, Ethan Jeff Hall, Cahal Clark, Maximus Hall, Brandon Carr, Vinnie Phillips, Nathan Tye, Macaulay Bishop rounding out the top 10. Keen Nakamura up 3 places into 11th. He's looking like he's struggling in these conditions.
Maximus Hall's having a proper dice at the moment with Brandon Carr, and that's a critical fight because now Ethan Jeff Hall and Brandon Carr are tied on points. At the moment on countback it would go the way of Jeff Hall, but Brandon Carr could really use an opportunity to get past Maximus Hall, which he takes. So Brandon Carr steals back 4th place in the driver's standings with that move on Maximus Hall. Vinnie Phillips and Macaulay Bishop are not far away, and next up, that looks like the GP plate. It is. It's Kian Nakamura-Berta. He's not giving up. He is charging forward.
Yeah, and Harley Keeble looks like he is catching onto the back of Sonny Smith. He did drop off a little bit in the first couple of laps, but he is getting a bit closer to Sonny Smith.
That's Sonny Smith in 2nd. Harry Junior Burgoyne's got through to the lead. So Harry Junior Burgoyne is now through in the lead of the race. Sonny Smith was leading initially. So now Harry Junior Burgoyne's got through. Did he make a mistake on that last lap, I wonder, Harry Junior Burgoyne? I thought it was Sonny Smith who was leading initially, but no, Harry Junior Burgoyne's got the drop on him. My apologies. So the two of them have swapped around, and now Sonny Smith is all over the back of his teammate once again. You'll notice that they're running no stickers on those cards. I was talking to one of the members of the team earlier today about it. The reason they're running no stickers is if you take the graphics stickers off the cart, you shed a kilo, and several drivers in the Oliver Rowland Motorsport team have had growth spurts in the last couple of weeks. So obviously their minimum weight has increased, so they've had to shed weight everywhere they can on the cart legally, and one of the only ways to do that is to remove the graphics kit.
Yeah, and Sonny Smith is catching onto the back of Harry Junior Burgoyne. He's been catching lap by lap, just a little bit onto Burgoyne. Burgoyne got a very good start, took the lead a little bit earlier on, and then Sonny Smith, where's he come from? He's right on the back of Harry Junior Burgoyne, came back for this final round of the British Champs, and he's proving how quick he is in the wet.
So Harry Junior Burgoyne has got a massive job to defend now from Sonny Smith, who is definitely taking his hand to him in this last race of the season. They come out of Christmas, up through Inkermans and up towards the hairpin and Ashby. And so far, so good, as again, Harry Junior Burgoyne holds the inside line here to battle away from Sonny Smith. Smith is there, right in the back end. Is there going to be a move for position? Well, not if Harry Junior Burgoyne's got a say in the matter. Meanwhile, Ethan Jeff Hall is swarming around all over the back of Harley Keeble as they battle away for 3rd. And drifting out wide, Ethan Jeff Hall nearly got the move done there on Harley Keeble, using the faster wet line around the outside to good effect. But he's got to be careful. Ethan Jeff Hall's too close to get that move wrong.
Yeah, he just needs to be really careful on the back of Harley Keeble if there's contact.
Oh, there's a spin, and we've got Macaulay Bishop and Maximus Hall having to avoid one of the spinning carts in front of them. That is one of the Fusion, so that's got to be Vinnie Phillips, I think. Vinnie Phillips has spun away there, and that's dropped him down the order. No, sorry, it's not. It is Kian Nakamura-Berta. The GP plate has spun at the toe of the boot, and that's dropped him back to 15th place. So Kian Nakamura-Berta, who was once the championship leader, his second half of the season has been a catalogue of disasters.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate for Keen Nakamura. He's still currently sitting third in the championship, but that's not what he's going to be wanting.
Yeah, he would have wanted a lot more from this. Harry Junior Burgoyne is still leading the race, and he's going to finish this season 6 points behind Harley Keeble if it stays like this. Look at how heavy the rain is now. It's going to be some proper bow waves developing around the circuit. Slicing up the inside of Cathal Clark, and nearly over the curbs goes Cathal Clark, but Brandon Carr slots himself into 5th place. It's a great comeback in this one from Brandon Carr, and he needed to, because now he's got himself back into 4th in the driver's standings ahead of Ethan Jeff Hall.
Yeah, that was a greatly executed move from Brandon Carr. Just slipped up the inside in the complex and gave Carl enough room. Carl just bounces over the curbs, unfortunately. But you can see Sonny Smith all over the back of Harry Junior Burgoyne. I think they will work together to try and pull away from the drive behind. Obviously, Harry Junior Burgoyne wanting to win the championship. But Harley Keeble, if he stays in this position, he will do it well.
The rain's still absolutely pelting down here at Whilton Mill. It's heavier now than it's been in the entirety of this race. The wind has picked up as well. The drivers are working so hard to keep the karts on the road. And it's Burgoyne leading from Sonny Smith, then Harley Keeble in 3rd. Ethan Jeff Hall is in 4th position. 5th now is Brandon Carr in front of Cathal Clark. And who's that charging after them? That's Vinnie Phillips making progress through the field as well.
Macaulay Bishop is quickest in the first sector, so he had to avoid that incident, but he's doing really well to drive back.
He is indeed. Phillips has made the move on his teammates. Sorry to cut you off, Kai. Phillips has made the move on Cathal Clark, and that gets him up into 6th position. So Vinnie Phillips is trying to make gains in the championship fight as well. He's currently tied for points with Archie Clark. That move is going to put him a point ahead of him.
Yep, and Macaulay Bishop is now right on the back of Nathan Tye, so he will be trying to look for a move soon. He's been shown his pace in the sectors one by one, and you can see he's already made a move. Too late to say that one, but he's past Nathan Tye, and that will make a difference in the point standings. Macaulay Bishop up to 9th in the standings.
And that's an amazing achievement from a privateer in his first full season of the British Kart Championships. What an amazing year Macaulay Bishop has had, including, of course, a couple of wins over the season, including in the final at Lark Hall. It is an absolutely amazing year, and that move on Nathan Tye is just going to cement his reputation coming into the latter part of the season. 5.5 minutes to go, and it's going to be a very exciting run to the flag here as the drivers continue to charge forward in the closing stages. The last couple of laps of the season, Maximus Hall trying to dive up the inside of the GP plate. I think that is, no, my apologies, that is Alex O'Grady. Alex O'Grady has made a great comeback in this one. He fell away initially, and now he's got himself back into contention in the order. So there is a lot of drivers in this race still trying to make progress as often as possible. Incredibly, though, in the wet conditions we are in, we're heading into lap 10 and not a single retirement yet. That is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, especially to say that we saw a couple in the dry race. That's pretty good for in the wet. And Harley Keeble, just little by little, is catching on to the drivers in front. So he struggled at the start, but he's now getting used to the car and showing his pace.
And no surprise, because Harry Junior Burgoyne's gone on the defensive from Sonny Smith. He really wants to bow out of this championship with a win, just because they're in the same team. There are no team orders in karting. There's only one rule: don't hit your teammate off the circuit. And as the three of them are running together up at the front, they will be used to working as a squad. But Ethan Jeff Hall is there in 4th, waiting in the wings. Brandon Carr could make this a top 4 washout if he keeps charging after the Strawberry Racing driver of Ethan Jeff Hall. His lap times are very good. Vinnie Phillips is trying to chase him down. And then it's Cathal Clark from Macaulay Bishop, Nathan Tye, and rounding out the top 10 is the Irishman Alex O'Grady, having a great end to his season too, in front of Maximus Hall and Ella Stevens, with Archie Clark, Zach Knight, and Kia Nakamura-Berta in pursuit.
Yeah, I can see that Harry Junior Burgoyne's struggling a little bit for pace now, but he is wanting a little bit of track limits there. But Harry Junior Burgoyne is going to be wanting to keep this win from Sonny Smith, and I think that's why he is defending. He wants to get as much points as possible, even if he can't win the championship.
The rain pelts down at Whilton Mill. 3 minutes 45 on the clock, plus the additional bonus lap. And it's going to be tight for Harry Junior Burgoyne to hang on in front of Sonny Smith and their teammate Harley Keeble as the three men run at the front of the field. If it finishes like this will be a solid end to the year for the Oliver Rowland Motorsport squad. 12 months ago, they only had one representative. That was Arvid Lindblad, who came through and had an amazing season in the British Cadet Championship. Now they are here with an absolute fleet of drivers, and they are looking to swamp the board. The Formula E superstar Oliver Rowland, who was a karting genius in his youth in Britain, is now he's the architect of the supreme beings of the sport, isn't he? Absolutely amazing to see that the top 3 is a team washout, with 5th and also 9th in the top 10 held by the squadron, courtesy of Brandon Carr and Nathan Tye. And this top 3 is going to get interesting. Sonny Smith has lost the tail of Harry Junior Burgoyne, and now Harley Keeble's going to make a bid up towards Christmas. They go up the hill. He's not able to get the move. He lets Sonny Smith blend off the power. Harley Keeble with a chance to come back at him as they get to the closing stages of this race, and he's swarming around behind Sonny Smith. They come into the braking zone for Ashby. Is Keeble going to make a bid to get through? Yes, he is! And Harley Keeble takes over second place. Nice move from the impending champion.
Yeah, and I think Sonny Smith will try and work with Harley Keeble now, not wanting to ruin this championship. Obviously, Sonny Smith, he does want to prove that he is quick, but he's not part of this championship, and I don't think he will want to ruin someone's championship either.
I am astonished by the level of talent in this field. 31 of them out there in the worst conditions they have been in this season, and not one of them has dropped it off into the grass or into the patchy mud of oblivion. Absolutely phenomenal driving standards and incredible talent in this field. You have got to be amongst the best in the sport if you want to be a winner in the British Kart Championships, and these guys truly are the kings and queens of the sport right now, keeping it very well lit. Now Vinnie Phillips has got the move done on Brandon Carr on the last lap. Now that is critical, because if Brandon Carr loses another place, Ethan Jeff Hall could steal 4th in the Drivers' Championship away from him.
And he wouldn't want to do that. But this is really good driving from all the drivers, and it looks like we may be crowning. Don't want to put the commentator's curse on
Certainly
him.
Not too early.
Yep, let's not say that. But Harley Keeble is driving really well in this race. Struggled at the start, but he is driving back. Harry Junior Burgoyne, he has dominated this race from pretty much start to finish. But if I had to name one driver that's impressed me so far, it has to be Ethan Jeff Hall.
Without a shadow of a doubt, he's kept himself in the game, and he's been one of the star talents of this latter end of the season as well. Ethan Jeff Hall definitely making a mark, and for me, he is one of the favourites for the 2020 Championship going into next season. I definitely mark him as a potential title winner. If he keeps this kind of form up, he's going to be hard to beat, whereas a lot of these drivers are going to be thinking about Mini or Junior X30 next year, depending on weight and height. But these guys are charging forward. Harry Junior Burgoyne, the Scot, is there at the top of his game. The O-Plate champion from this year, and leads going into Christmas. Second place, Harley Keeble, running a very fine, solid end to his season, and he is going to bow out of this year as the worthy champion after an amazing fight back. In the middle of the season, they had written him off. They had said Harley Keeble's not going to have much of a chance to come through. They're not saying that anymore. Maximus Hall seems to have dropped down the order. Either that or he's got a transponder issue. But Maximus Hall has now fallen out of the top 10, unfortunately, in the closing stages of this race. And the time is going to tick down to 0 with Harry Junior Burgoyne, Harley Keeble and Sonny Smith keeping it in a nice formation at the end of a fabulous final. Time runs down to 0, and it's the victory lap for Oliver Rowland Motorsport's 3 men, Burgoyne, Keeble and Smith.
I think Oliver Rowland must be absolutely pleased with what's going on right now. Ollie Rowland 1, 2, 3, if he can finish this way, that would be absolutely brilliant. Just shows the form that these drivers are on. But Harley Keeble, he's looking vicious now. He wants this race win.
Oliver Rowland will be having kittens on the sidelines. What an amazing sweep of the podium this is going to be. Burgoyne comes into Christmas for the last time. Harley Keeble is there, but he's not pushing enough to go for the victory. He doesn't need to at this phase of positions. He wants the title. He actually gestures to Harry Junior Burgoyne, come on, let's get away up front. We don't need to panic. I don't even need to pass you, mate. I just need to slot into position, and we are going full guns blazing to the finish. Third place is Sonny Smith still, and that'll be a nice return from his weekend. A podium to finish up the weekend for Sonny Smith. Ethan Jeff Hall, though, hustling them all the way, and then Vinnie Phillips and Brandon Carr look like they're going to have a battle to the flag. But out onto the back straight for the last time. Ethan Jeff Hall still hustling to see if he can split up the trio at the end of the race. He is pushing hard. I'm not sure he's quite going to have enough time to go for it, but fair play to him. But out of the final turn, Harry Junior Burgoyne is going to get the last win of the season, and Harley Keeble is the British champion in second position. And now at Oliver Rowland Motorsport, the party begins. Sonny Smith is third, and Ethan Jeff Hall is fourth. Look at that, sportsmanship amongst teammates. Full credit to the ORM awarding.
And you can see Harley Keeble knows he's the champion. He's in absolute bits in that helmet, and he definitely deserves to be.
It's the pinnacle of the sport if you are between 8 and 12 years of age in the British IAME scene. And what a result. Harry Junior Burgoyne wins, but Harley Keeble in second is the champion. Sonny Smith in third from Ethan Jeff Hall and Vinnie Phillips. Brandon Carr, Macaulay Bishop, Nathan Tyan, Kian Nakamura-Berta fighting back brilliantly to ninth in front of Alex O'Grady. Then it's Gahal Clark, Ella Stevens, Maximus Hall, Archie Clark and Zach Knight from Lewis Werrell. Kian Geraghty way up to 17th from Will Knight, Dan Sofronea, Eden Spanswick and Roman Cam Yab, and then it's Bird, Mins, Smith, Anderson, Antrobus, Katzentonis, Joey Brown, Sky Parker, Jack Mowat and George Edgar. Incredibly, in these conditions, they all made it home. What an absolutely fantastic performance. A massive thank you to Kai Bachini for joining me on comms for the IAME Cadet Final. No doubt you'll hear more of his voice in the British karting scene in 2020. But what a moment this is for Harley Keeble and all of the Oliver Rowland Motorsport team. He becomes the British champion by 8 points to Harry Junior Burgoyne, with Kian Nakamura-Berta third in the standings. There is just one more race to finish off our season, and that is the Junior X30 season finale.
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up? Are you ready to make more money in 1 year than your father made in his whole life? Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
But hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Fine. Then let's race.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Let me hear
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
You're listening to Race Day Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Motorsport Days Live, Stopwatch Hospitality, and Trade Price Cars.
One more race to go in the 2019 season, and it comes down to the final furlong for the Junior X30 British Crown. Yesterday's win for Oliver Gray pretty much seals the deal for him to be the title winner, but there's still plenty of positions in the lower end of the field, especially the vice title, to be crowned. So we'll see how the drivers go heading into this last race of the season. And we're going to see an amazing battle. Joseph Taylor and Alessandro Serenetti will line up on the front row of the grid from Aaron Walker and Darrell Taylor. Then Freddie Spindlow, Tom Leben, Alex Lee and Georgie Dimitrov from Chris Harnan and Sam Heading. The drivers head out for the formation lap. Behind Harnan and Heading is Douglas Bolger and Aidan Neat from JP Sleater and Blake Anglis. Then Josh McLean and Oliver Gray. Sam Hawthorne and Caden McQueen from Casper Scusa and Tyler Reid. Aaron Walker, that's Aaron J. Walker and Sam Shaw. Then Daniel Ginchard and Marcus Little with the two privateers from Oscar Joyce and Zach Meakin. Then Alex Moody and Max Meir, Aaron Rashepi of Switzerland and Will Murdoch. Then Dan Butterworth, Mikai Singh, Ben Jenkins and Harvey Ryby. So the last race of the season in the IAME classes, and it's definitely going to be a lit one, especially with all the rain that is coming down on the circuit. It ends in the most torrential of conditions here to bow out of the 2019 season. And it looks as though we've got one non-starter out there, or certainly a transponder issue if he is starting. That is Chris Harnan, the Dutchman. So there could be a bit of an issue going into this race. But we'll see as the drivers now get themselves formed up into their final starting positions for the final grid up of the Junior X30 season. Joseph Taylor, pole position from Alessandro Serenetti, then Aaron Walker, Darrell Taylor, Freddie Spindlow and Tom Leben. Alex Lee comes next up in position from Georgie Dimitrov as they come out of the heel of the boot. Jake Sanson with you one more time in the IAME Junior X30 season of the British Kart Championships, and the lights go out. Do they? Well, the lights are still on the gantry, and the race goes through. Was that a false start or not? The red lights stayed on, but it looks to me as though they've continued on. The red lights are still on the starting gantry. And they are still on in position. It's a false start, we're told. A false start around the circuit. Wow, that was weird, because normally the yellow light comes on the starting gantry. But on this occasion, it did not. So it looks to me as though they have gone round another time. So the race is not under starters' orders. The 15 minutes are still not ticking down. And so they've got to go around one more time. But they will be given the indication of that as they come around this time. So now the drivers are forming up in their grid slots one more time. And so as everybody forms up in position, we will get ourselves ready for another restart. The tension is already palpable here at Whilton Mill, the final race of the season in Junior X30. But with the rain coming down, it's going to be very tricky. Torrential rain for the Junior X30 final here at Whilton Mill. Joe Taylor and Alessandro Serenetti from Aaron Walker and Darrell Taylor. Then Freddie Spindlow, Tom Leben, Alex Lee and Georgie Dimitrov with an amazing opportunity for Oliver Gray to walk away as the British champion. Jake Sanson here with you in the pouring rain. Is this going to be lights out this time? Yes, it is, and we're racing. Fantastic start of the first corner from Joe Taylor, and it looks as though he's going to be joined there by Aaron Walker, his teammate. They get through the first corner. Is everybody going to get through in one piece? So far, so good. Everybody knows the order, and they also know that you can't win the race on the first lap, but you can definitely lose it. Into Christmas for the first time. Is there enough space for everybody to squeeze through? 4 or 5 wide on the exit, and they are just about keeping it together. But at Inkermans, there's going to be a little bit of a squabble, and 2 or 3 drivers are going to need to concede the gap. They come through into Ashby, and there's a big incident. Goodness me, 5 or 6 drivers going in together there. Several of them able to get out of the war zone, but they're bogged down on the grass, and that looks like one of the Cosmic drivers that have been left at the back there. That could be Aaron Rashepi, the Swiss, but they've all managed to get going again, and there's more drama as a couple more have had an issue around the lap. So it's already getting very hectic, but up at the front, it is Joe Taylor in front of, is that Dimitrov that's come through? That would be a big shock. Is Alessandro Serenetti back into second place thinking about it? They come through, and that's Taylor in front of Serenetti. And in third place, that is now Spindlow in front of Aaron Walker. Then it's Leben, Lee, Taylor, Slater, Heading, and then it's McLean in front of Caden McQueen and Georgia Dimitrov from Aidan Neat, Reed, Bolger, Shaw, Anglish, Joyce, Meakin, Aaron J. Walker, and Will Murdoch. A lot of standing water around the circuit. It's getting very hectic on the first couple of laps of racing in Junior X30. 13 and a half minutes to go. It's going to be a very slow lap in these conditions. But out in front, Joe Taylor has done what he needed to do early doors. Alessandro Serenetti is there in second place for Fusion. Then in third, that is Freddie Spindlow, charging his way back to the front end of the field after an awkward weekend at the office. Fourth place for Walker. Then it's Leben, Lee, Darrell Taylor and JP Sleater from Sam Heading and Josh McLean in the top 10. Now, with this kind of performance, Caden McQueen is looking at 592 points. If he can continue to make gains in this race, he's going to cement himself as second in the Drivers' Championship. But Dimitrov is on 591 as things stand. McLean is on 586. Serenetti's on 585. And Joseph Taylor is on 583. It's very tight at the front end of the field in the driver's standings. From second downwards, we've got a mechanical flag. A mechanical flag for Marcus Littlewood. He must have picked up damage in that incident at Ashby on the first lap. So Marcus Littlewood's season has come to an end. Mechanical flag is going to put him to the back of the field. He may well decide to get in, fix whatever the problem is, as long as it is fixable, and then head back out onto the circuit again. But that's really cost him, as Caden McQueen goes wheel to wheel there with Sam Heading as they battle away for position. That's for 8th place. Has Caden McQueen made the move stick? He has now, up on the inside line. He had to work to get there, but he has now made the move stick. So he gets through into another position. Caden McQueen making progress as Alessandro Serenetti tries desperately to close up on Joseph Taylor. Taylor, Serenetti, then it is Spindlow, and then we've got a 3-driver scrap. Caden McQueen gets up the inside for 7th place. Lovely move on the inside there of Alex Lee, the Coles Racing driver. So he gets through, and that is Caden McQueen, now up at a P7, and he is roaring through the field from 18th to 7th in just 3 laps. Caden McQueen is absolutely storming around this racetrack. Can he get the victory? He certainly knows his way around this place. He is a champion in the Whilton Mill Kart Club, so he knows this circuit better than most, and he's absolutely hammering his way around this circuit. Has he just made the move around the outside? He has. He's got himself into 4th position. Caden McQueen's absolutely rapid around this Whilton Mill circuit. He knows it better than most, but this is an absolutely heart-stopping drive from Caden McQueen to charge his way back to the front. He's there in 4th position. He's got past Leben. So it is still Taylor up front. Then in 2nd it is Serenetti. 3rd it is Spindlow. And 4th now is Caden McQueen. This is an absolutely heroic drive. And he has come up 14 places in 4 laps. There are not many drivers who can say that over the course of the British Kart Championship season. Taylor, Serenetti, Spindlow. That's Darrell Taylor actually in 4th place. My apologies. Through the commentary box window, it's hard to distinguish them. But Taylor's made the move for 4th. McQueen is still in the top 6 though. He's in behind Leben. So Darrell Taylor going well in 4th. Then it's Leben. Then it's McQueen. Although he's still hustling. And Darrell Taylor is all over the back of Freddie Spindlow for 3rd place. So Darrell Taylor is trying to make his move through. Running wide. Spindlow's gone out too wide. And that's Darrell Taylor through into 3rd. But on the exit, Spindlow gets him back. So Spindlow gets the undercut to get back into 3rd position. So Darrell Taylor now vulnerable from Tom Leben and Caden McQueen as they go down the hill into the left-hander. And onto the back straight once again. Caden McQueen still charging his way back to the front. Meanwhile, for 8th place, we've got Sam Heading versus Tyler Reed. And Alex Lee is currently rounding out the top 10 for the Coles Racing team. Up to the apex of the toe of the boot. Still going well up at the front end. And in through the final bend onto the main straight. It is still Joseph Taylor looking to get as many points from this as humanly possible. He's going to end the season on 583 if he wins. From his point of view, it's just pride now. He wants to end the year on a high. So Taylor in front of Serenetti. And then in 3rd position, a move on the inside. That is Darrell Taylor trying to get through on the inside line there of Freddie Spindlow. And he can't quite make the move stick. He's trying his best to work it through. And he's there in 3rd position. And now trying to close up on them. That is Caden McQueen. Having made his move into 5th position. Now he's going to try and sweep past both men. As he gets an amazing draft out of Ashby. Up into 4th position. Round the outside of Darrell Taylor. Comes Caden McQueen. Now he's in P4. Absolutely heroic from Caden McQueen. And now he's going to get all underneath Freddie Spindlow as he charges his way back. Well, he's a club champion, Caden McQueen. He knows this place as if it's his back garden. And he's having an absolutely sensational rout here in the wet conditions of Whilton Mill. Down the drop into the heel of the boot and along the main straight again. This is going to be an amazing run from McQueen. Even if he can get to the top 3, it would be pretty special. And he's done it. 3rd position on Darrell Taylor. I didn't see that one out of the final turn. I was too busy looking at the timing screen. And he's already through into 3rd position. He's got just 2 men to catch. And they are 2 of the serial consistent lap scorers over the course of the season. Joe Taylor and Alessandro Serenetti. If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Caden McQueen. But he's got 8.5 minutes. Jog on, head down, go for it. Meanwhile, there's a nice battle shaping up further back. Tom Leben trying to keep himself in the game as Darrell Taylor has managed to get past Freddie Spindlow. So Darrell Taylor is through on Spindlow, and now Tom Leben is all over the back of the KR Sport driver, and he cuts through on the inside line. Spindlow manages to get him back on the switch, though. So a great wheel-to-wheel from several drivers in the field as well. Just one retirement from the race, and that is Marcus Littlewood, who had the mechanical flag earlier, of course. And a non-starter in Chris Hahn, the Dutchman. A real shame for him, as he was looking very strong over the course of the weekend. So Taylor, Serenetti and McQueen. Then it is Darrell Taylor in front of Freddie Spindlow and Tom Leben. Tyler Reed, by the way, has managed to get past Aaron Walker. And then it is Sam Heading from Alex Lee. Nice moves from Douglas Bolger, the Japanese star. He's come up to 11th now, back into his position in front of Will Murdoch. Murdoch is 12th. He started 30th. What a comeback from him as well. So some amazing racecraft from several drivers in the field. Murdoch is hovering all over the back of Douglas Bolger at the moment, as still Leben and Spindlow are swapping places. And they are having an amazing route. And it looks to me as though Will Murdoch has now cut through on Douglas Bolger. And the next man in is Georgi Dimitrov. So Georgi Dimitrov, having made his way into 13th place, dropped back down the order a little. Aidan Neat is next up in the Strawberry Racing Kart. So an amazing squabble in the midfield. 15th and 16th behind them is a good battle too. That's Josh McLean battling with Sam Shaw. In fact, I think Shaw's actually in front of McLean now. Then Anglis and Oliver Gray, who's just tootling around in 18th place. He doesn't need to win this race. He just needs to keep it lit and stay on the island. And he is going to get the title won. He's 21 points clear of Caden McQueen at the moment, with Alessandro Serenetti in 2nd place, looking likely to overtake Josh McLean in the standings. They're both going to have 585, but on countback, 4th in the standings will go the way of Serenetti. So out in front, it is Joe Taylor from Alessandro Serenetti, and they are in the second half of the race now. Caden McQueen is being hustled a little by Darrell Taylor, who's just following his every line, and that means that Taylor's going to pick up a great end to the season for him. Really solid effort from Darrell Taylor, this one. This has been one of his most impressive performances, if not his most impressive performance in the season. Oh, the GP plate, Oliver Gray, has been given a warning. Oliver Gray's been given a warning flag. Well, that is mighty, mighty dramatic. Has he gone off the circuit? Because the timing screen seems to suggest he hasn't completed the first sector. Well, either that or he's got a problem of some kind. Now, I think Oliver Gray's got a faulty transponder, so something's not quite right there. I can't see his kart anywhere off the road. And the 11 has got a warning flag now as well. Now, that is Kasper Skuza, the Pole, who's had an amazing weekend, was fastest in his time group before a penalty docked him down the order in qualifying this morning. So Kasper Skuza has been very impressive this weekend as well. Some great movements through the field. Some very frustrating races for some. Zach Meekin and Oscar Joyce are making good progress. Both have made up at least 5. It's been a tricky one for the likes of JP Slater and Dan Ginchard. Both of them struggling to hold position down the order. But there are some really intense battles in that midfield as drivers continue to squabble forward. They still want to pick up places. They still want to move forward. But the rain is absolutely pelting down. 5 minutes to go here at Whilton Mill, and 5 minutes more for Oliver Gray before he can claim the British Kart Championship in Junior X30. Joe Taylor, though, is being caught by Alessandro Serenetti up front as McQueen sets the fastest lap of the race, 5 seconds behind them. Now McQueen has got to hope that Serenetti's going to catch Joe Taylor closely enough that they're going to start battling. And if they do, then they're going to lose time to Caden McQueen. It's not done yet for him at all as he runs in 3rd position. He's 5 seconds behind the leaders, but Serenetti's closing on Taylor. So if they start battling, they're going to lose time, and McQueen could catch them before the end of this race. He's currently looking at being the vice champion of Britain here, Caden McQueen. So far, so good. He just needs to keep it together. So a really exciting battle, but it could go right the way down to the wire. 4 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock. Serenetti hovering around all over the back of Joe Taylor. Caden McQueen chipping away at their advantage. Faster than both drivers in the first sector. Faster than both drivers in the second sector. And in the third sector, surely he's going to get that gap down from 5 seconds again. As they come through this time by, Caden McQueen has made up a couple of tenths of a second on the race leaders. But Serenetti is still rivaling Joe Taylor. The rain's still coming down. They're in the 1 minute lap times. Caden McQueen is in the 59s. So he is closing in on them, but he may run out of time. 3.5 minutes is a long time in karting, but with the gap being 4.8 seconds, that is, I think, a little bit too much time, unless the two leaders start scrapping for position. And Serenetti's got time to close in on Taylor to make that happen. Darrell Taylor running a great race in fourth, a really solid effort. Credit too to Tyler Reid, who's up from 20th on the grid to 6th position. Great overtaking moves here at Whilton Mill. You've got to be a sly fox to do it, and Tyler Reid has definitely shown his hand of cards early to get himself back into the top 6. Rain pelting down here at Whilton Mill. It may be a brilliant day for ducks, but they are making an absolutely amazing route of it. Still pushing on into that first corner. Joe Taylor hanging on in front of Serenetti. He's actually extended the gap a little bit with his personal best lap of the race there. But the fastest man on track is still the 28, and that is Darrell Taylor, in fact, not Caden McQueen, as Tyler Reid gets through into 5th position now. So Tyler Reid has made up 15 places and is now in P5. That's the same number of places made up as Caden McQueen. Meanwhile, Will Murdoch has got himself into the top 10, and that's from 30th on the grid. What a fight back from Will Murdoch. Again, despite that little hiccup on the first lap at Ashby, it's still fairly even amongst the drivers. Only one retirement up to this point so far. So it's still very tight in front. Joe Taylor is trying to pull away a little bit from Alessandro Serenetti, and that's really the only hope that Taylor has of hanging on to first position at the moment. Serenetti has been closing in on him steadily over time, but he's faster than him in the second sector. That's crucial in the more technical section of the course. Taylor's got the edge over Serenetti, and he's got him in the third sector as well. That's going to be crucial coming to the latter stages of this race. But it looks as though we have our championship finishing order pretty much set in stone now as the battle continues through to the last stages of the race. But Joe Taylor in front of Alessandro Serenetti and Caden McQueen, who has fought his way back from 20th on the grid to finish up if he stays like this in 18th on the grid, Caden McQueen, if he stays like this to finish up in third. It's an absolutely majestic comeback from Caden McQueen, and he's still pushing, trying to get the gap down. He's brought it down to 4.5 seconds, so he's definitely gaining on the leaders. The problem is he's going to run out of time to catch up to them wholly and wholeheartedly. So through the toe of the boot, one last time in this section of the race, and there's a minute to go. So for the leaders, this is going to be the penultimate lap. Joe Taylor leading with confidence out in front of Alessandro Serenetti. But we saw what happened to Thomas Turner in the earlier final in Senior X30. He dropped it at Oblivion while leading, and he's got to stay focused here, Joe Taylor. This would be a brilliant end to what has been a very tough season for Joseph Taylor. He's had his ups and downs all through the year, both here and in Europe, of course, as well. So this would be a nice end to the year for Joseph Taylor to hang on to it. But Alessandro Serenetti's still pushing hard, and Caden McQueen is ripping up the racetrack to try and close up. 2 warning flags go out now. A second one for Kasper Skuza, and the 81 of Zach Meakin is given one as well. So Zach Meakin in the war zone there. So he's got to stay very careful in the closing stages. But the checkered flag is just a lap away for our race leader, Joe Taylor, whilst down in the middle of the field, Oliver Gray, finishing in 12th if he stays where he is set to become the British champion by 21 points to Caden McQueen. Over the line to start the last lap goes Joe Taylor. Serenetti still pushing, got the gap down to just under a second now. He's hoping he can get that little bit of time made up, but it is going to be tight to the flag as they come up to the hairpin for the last time into Christmas. And Taylor's being cautious. Serenetti's throwing caution to the winds as the rain intensifies again. Up to the final few corners of the lap. Joe Taylor's just skating in the braking zones, trying to keep himself on the road. Caden McQueen is absolutely charging, just in case there's an incident between the two guys up front. He's in third. He's got the gap down to less than 3.5 seconds now. He's giving it everything, but he's going to run out of time as Joseph Taylor comes down the back straight for the last time with Alessandro Serenetti and Caden McQueen in pursuit. None of them are going to be champion, but they've put on an amazing show for the last round of the season into the final turn, and Joseph Taylor has done the brilliance of this weekend. He has come through for the victory. Brilliant drive from Joseph Taylor. Second for Alessandro Serenetti. Second in the championship for Caden McQueen in third. A brilliant run. Taylor is fourth from Reed, Leben, Aaron Walker, Freddie Spindlow, Sam Heading, Will Murdoch and Douglas Bolger. But look back, because Oliver Gray in 12th on the road is now officially the British champion. Fantastic from the GP plate. He just needed to keep it on the island, and he's got the job done. By 21 points, Oliver Gray is the British Junior X30 champion. Fantastic display all season long. 13th is Sam Shaw to Aidan Neat and Georgie Dimitrov, then Blake Anglis and Josh McLean, Alex Lee and Zach Meakin, then Casper Scusa and JP Slater, then Sam Hawthorne, Dan Ginshard, Dan Butterworth and Oscar Joyce, from Max Meir, Mikai Singh, Aaron Rashepi and Aaron Walker, then Alex Moody, Ben Jenkins and Harvey Ryby. One retirement, Marcus Littlewood, one non-starter, Chris Harden. What a washout for the end of the season, but Joe Taylor dominates in style as Oliver Gray becomes British champion. Well, it's been an amazing end to the season in the IAME classes. We've had a very successful year in 2019, and now the start for the 2020 season has already begun. The teams will pack down and go for home, but the drivers and the squads are already thinking about 2020. Some amazing performances from the drivers out there who have done an amazing job this season, and we can't wait for the season to kickstart again in the spring of 2020 as they do it all again. The British Car Championships conclude for good in the 2019 season at TKM and Honda in their categories here at Whilton Mill on the third weekend of October. From me, Jake Sanson, it's been a privilege to commentate on the IAME season. The championships will conclude, as I said, at Whilton Mill at the third weekend of October. But from the IAME classes at Whilton Mill, from Jake Sanson and from everybody here at Motorsport UK, it is bye for now. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.